I think the fact that it's an industry leader. I love the fact that it's at the top of its game and it's going places, and I like that. It's a winner and it wants to keep winning.
Once we understand, the customer themselves, they feel like they're with a partner for life.
Welcome to Talking Ship. I'm Zoe Hanson, your host, joined by global account managers Archie Seymour-Upchurch and Eddie Kilner. Now, both of you are quite new to Shipnet. How's the experience been? How long have you been there?
I joined in February, so there was a new initiative out the back of 2023 with customer calls. So the kind of consensus was that we weren't achieving what we needed to in the customer experience space. So at the back end of 2023, I spoke to John Wills, and my role was to kind of come in and help set up the new account management function. That's primarily, my experience. So
what sort of the customer service piece?
Yeah, so like customer success, account management, and kind of building that relationship. I think what we'd done prior was kind of more of a ticketing system effectively. So we wanted to kind of expand on that, start delivering more for our customers and kind of creating a more of a strategic relationship as opposed to a transactional relationship where it's kind of just give and take. So I came in Feb to help set that up. I feel like we're pretty much there. It's been a good year.
How's your experience of Shipnet been then, Eddie?
I would say it's been positive on a whole. I would have to say there has been some frustrations. I think we'd talked before. The shipping in itself is, granted, it's such a large scale across the world, but in itself it's quite infantile, I would say, with regards to digitization, utilization of data to help support that customers. But I think that's kind of common across the processes of the business. So there isn't that kind of, account management isn't a particularly new field. Customers have been doing it and businesses have been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years. So I think what I found since coming in is we're trying to move to a kind of a 2024, 2025 operating model, and the process of change can be quite difficult in organizations. So I would say that's been the biggest challenge, but on a whole, working with the different teams and things like that has been fantastic, and we're all kind of moving to the common goal of Shipnet moving forward.
And for you, Archie, you were a broker and now you're an account manager in Shipnet.
Yeah.
How does that differ, and how has your sort of experience of that differed?
I would say, so I was a trainee broker. I did a rotational scheme for 9 months, which was amazing. It was great. And then I joined Shipnet in July. Massive difference between being a broker and being an account manager. So as a broker, you're on the attack. You're looking for new revenue. You're constantly hunting. As an account manager, you're more on the defensive. So you want to try and protect the revenue. And that's what Eddie's really taught me. You've got to really protect the revenue. You've got to understand the customer. And with that, you can essentially find new opportunities, but not through a direct approach, more on an understanding approach. You learn them, you see where they're going, and you cater to that.
It all starts and ends with the customer, really, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That's our number one priority.
And you talk about Eddie's taught you this sort of customer journey, this experience, this sales journey. Talk to us about that.
So how's Eddie taught me? He is the...
Yeah, can we go into this?
So he's the Jedi Master and I'm the Padawan.
We didn't, did we?
I have done it. I have. He's been great. He's been a great mentor. He's taught me everything from customer emails to how to react to certain customers' woes or being happy.
Yeah.
And basically, he's been a rock. I mean that. He's been great.
And what do you find is the customer experience? So do they come to you with, is there a specific problem that you come across or an issue that you come across day in, day out? And actually, with Shipnet and being an account manager, you can solve that for them.
I think a lot of it is tickets. Eddie, would you agree on that?
Yeah, I think it's hard to put a point on it. If you've worked in SaaS for a long time, obviously software as a service, and Shipnet on a whole has been around for, we've just celebrated our 30th year anniversary. That software is incredibly there's certain bits that are really old. There's certain bits, obviously, you're trying to bring it through. I wouldn't say that there's genuinely a one-stop shop for, the issues are, sometimes it can be operational, it can be technical, it can be asking for advice, or it can be just, down to like, I need a password reset, or, that type of thing. But obviously being the account managers and that kind of customer rock, I would say, you're obviously there to facilitate what they need.
What do you find that the customers say, Archie? What's the thing that they really buy into?
I think it's the relationship aspect, especially with this role. They want someone who's not, how do I say, they don't want someone they can just moan at or ask questions. They want someone who they trust and believe in. I think a big thing for me is loyalty and communication. So I try and be, I am a loyal person, and I'm extremely focused on communication the whole way through the process with the customer. They want someone they can talk to, and they want someone they believe in. Yeah. That's massive for a customer.
And that also means delivering, doesn't it?
I mean, you have to deliver, and you have to, if you promise something, you have to do it, because then the trust's gone. And the trust's gone, what is there?
Your customers, do you get to know them, or is it, right, okay, this is now our customer, off you go? Or do you take time in the beginning to sort of cultivate that relationship?
Absolutely. That's something I have focused massively on since I've joined. I've had numerous customer calls, and I've spent hours and hours and hours with individuals learning about them, their families, their strategic wants, everything. I try and make it very personal as well, understand them as a character, because when you can do that, you can truly help someone. Yeah.
And I know that you talked about running earlier on. So you run for however long. Yeah. Do you do this most days?
I do it every day.
Have you ever gone for a run with a customer?
I haven't, but that's a New Year's resolution of mine.
Do you know what? Yeah. That is spot on, because actually it's a meeting in a very different way. And I couldn't do it because I'd be out of breath. But yeah, that sounds like a great connector, if you like.
Exactly. I think we're in the corporate world, and it's nice to make things more sociable and less corporate. And I think that's the best. I think I will do that. 100%.
I like it. Yeah. So, Eddie, how do you harness the customer experience to make it better?
Well, that's a good question. So I've had fantastic mentors over the years. One that always kind of sticks with me. What she always used to say is always to listen to the customer. So not just for the first thing they say or the second thing they say, but throughout the full conversation, understanding what they're actually trying to get out. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes if you can feel frustrated, you might not actually get across what you're wanting to get across. And from understanding what their business is trying to achieve, and it's something we do with implementing monthly service reviews and quarterly business reviews as of this year, we will look to kind of build that strategic relationship. So once we understand, the customer themselves, they feel like they're with a partner for life, not just, we want to operate in this area. Like I say, it comes down to attrition, but from a customer's perspective, I know if it was me, I wouldn't want a quick fix. I want somebody that I know is going to have my vested interest and, vested interest in the industry moving forward, which will also provide, much more benefits to themselves and to the end customer effectively as well.
It's almost like a football manager coming in and sort of building the team around, isn't it, I suppose? And, Shipnet sort of saying, come with us, right? And we'll start jogging slowly. We're back to running again, Archie. But we'll start jogging slowly, and we'll build up the distance, and we'll get faster and all of that stuff. But come on, we can do this together.
Absolutely. It's all about the journey. Getting there, appropriately instead of skidding in with the wheels on fire is not the way that you want to do it.
Certainly not for a ship.
No, absolutely not. And I think partly that's due to, Shipnet's been at fault for its own success, really. It's obviously started off as, a Norwegian company and that type of thing. And it's just expanded and grown and grown and grown. And it's really difficult to say grow with that time. So I feel like now we're at the place where the growth is kind of on a nice trajectory up, and we've got the investment and the right people in the business now to really develop that and, like you say, build the team. So it's exciting, but yeah, it's I don't know whether he's the right person to be in it, but he might get subbed
You
off
two
at
have
some
got
point.
quite a good relationship going on here, right?
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Do you sort of play off each other, or do you sort of? Well, I can see that you play off each other, but actually, do you go to each other with issues or difficulties or problems to overcome? Or
I think I'll take this one. As I said earlier, Eddie's been great to me. Every client call I'll ever have, I will write down a summary of what's happened, and I will go to Eddie and I will ask him for advice.
okay,
Not every time, but more often than not, we will make a strategic sort of plan
Yeah.
of how I'm going to tackle or fix or solve or help problems with the clients. And we're constantly in communication, maybe too much, in a good way.
said the phone bill.
Yeah, exactly. But no, we communicate every 10 minutes.
Feels like that sometimes. It's always Ed, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Culturally, Shipnet talks about trust and transparency quite a lot.
Yep.
It seems as if that's sort of sewn through the company. Do you have any examples of when that's really worked for you, Eddie?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the three kind of core values of Shipnet are trust, resolve, and being approachable. So that's some of the values and the metrics that we as a business, me, my team, Jenny, Terrier, etc., are all kind of scored upon. So it's kind of part of the DNA, of Shipnet, which is something that, I found very attractive when looking for a new role. But from a kind of scenario where there's issues, like I say, we're quite new. I've been quite new to the shipping industry, and sometimes when you're having a conversation with a customer, you can quite quickly feel like you're out of your depth, especially when
Right.
they're talking technical, that type of thing. Now, our kind of product director, Neil, who's, I think he spent 8 years in the Merchant Navy, knows it, like the back of his hand.
Yeah.
He's super approachable. He won't go, come on, that's embarrassing, that.
Yeah.
What's that sale? But he'll take the time to kind of, I like to say, dumb it down for you. So,
Well, just layman's terms,
yeah,
isn't
absolutely.
it, right?
So that's creating that relationship there. I have a great relationship with him. I think he's fantastic. He's also fantastic with customers, but he's also, that kind of go-to, being able to then, like we say, 360 life cycle back to the customer and being able to articulate that. So I would, truly say that everybody in the business is approachable, and, we live up to the values that we're, measured by, and that's what we're wanting to project out into the industry and be more personable and be more of a friendly face and, a lending hand as opposed to just a corporate world, effectively.
I think that you guys do that very well, and you two, little double act, absolutely do. And what's your take on Shipnet? What attracted you in the first place, Archie, to Shipnet?
I think the fact that it's an industry leader. I love the fact that it's at the top of its game and it's going places. And I like that. It's a winner and it wants to keep winning. And that's very important to me. I'm massively motivated and I feel this is the perfect place for not only my career to go forward, but I want to be part of a ship winning. I think that's what we try and do here massively.
And you've worked within shipping. I mean, you were a trainee broker before you joined Shipnet. How does the shipping industry differ to other industries?
Well, they call it the last dinosaur.
Oh, really?
They do. Because a lot of deals are still done on pen and paper in a pub.
Okay.
Which you don't find anywhere else. The regulations are much more lax. I think it's the mother of globalization as well. So everything comes off shipping.
Oh, yeah.
And it's almost not caught up with finance or healthcare or law in terms of technology.
Right.
And that's why we're trying to bring them to the forefront of that.
And do you think that the rules on compliance and, all these new regulations coming in, do you think that shipping companies will keep up with that?
It's a very good question. I hope so.
Yeah.
For the sake of environment. I also hope so for the sake of shipping, and they should. So yes, I do.
Eddie, what's your take on the shipping industry? Is it starting to catch up, or is it sort of still living in the dark ages?
I really I'd not heard about it being called the last dinosaur. I think that is very relevant. I think what surprises me is I come from energy. When the energy market, I get worried if I'll get this wrong now. I think it deregulated in 1998 or 1999, but it allowed for...
September the 2nd. No, I'm only kidding.
But what it allowed for is a competitive landscape. So you didn't just have the big six, or as they were known as then. And what that allowed is for more and more innovation, because people would come along and they'd try to do different things.
Of course.
Obviously, in the shipping world, it isn't quite like that. It's, you are allowed for a competitive market, but what I found that the technology lags, far behind. Things that I was doing 7-8 years ago was the norm in kind of the energy industry, whereas now we are starting to get to it. Like Helix, for instance, using data as a tool to be able to help businesses define and understand what they need to do, where are they best to port, what lanes are they best to take, that type of thing. That's all what people have been doing in supply and logistics on land for tens of years. So it's exciting. I think we've still got quite a way to go with it, but
but it's a start already, right?
Yeah,
and you're already
on the right trajectory. Yeah,
Shipnet leading the way. Why do you think shipping is like that?
It's a very good question. I just think because it's so massive. I don't think so. Like you say, when you talk about regulatory, the UK market and the energy, for instance, it's all localized to the UK market. Granted, distributors coming in, but it's a complete world, view of how it's, developed. So being able to pull all of them different people, different companies, different cultures, different countries, all to kind of have a similar view is probably very tricky. So that's why I would like, for regulatory bodies, especially in safety. There's a lot of health and safety issues that do happen within the shipping industry. I think there's not particularly enough regulation around that. Obviously, at Shipnet, we've got a fantastic safety module that allows companies to keep track of this sort of stuff and make sure that, if there are any issues on board, it's all taken care of, that type of thing. So I'd like to see a real focus on that. But again, it's, the genie's out of the bottle with regards to, the shipping industry. So I would like to see more attention and more scrutiny put back on that. But as Archie said, some stuff's still done on pen and paper, and especially at ports and that type of thing. So it does need to move with the times a little bit more, I think.
I think shipping, we're talking about the minutiae of it, really, I suppose, because it's only when you start to think about, how many shipping containers turn up in Southampton. I think it's 2 million a year. And then, and you then times that by all the different ports around the world. And you start to sort of stack up these numbers, and you start to realise how huge this industry is, this world is. Did you have any idea about that before you went into it, Archie?
I did understand. No, I didn't. No.
You
I love that.
And saved me a little bit. I did.
You almost committed to. Yeah. I did then.
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
No, sorry.
Because it is mind-blowing, actually, when you start to think about, somebody doing the paperwork, or somebody, working in a cafe at a port, and every single thing that you see and touch at some point has been shipped somewhere, right?
Yeah.
It's just the world we live in. And that's what blows my mind with it.
Over 95% of the world's commodities is done through shipping, which is a mind-boggling statistic.
Yeah.
That's the one that blew my mind.
Fact.
That I didn't know.
Thank you so much, Archie and Eddie, for coming and talking to us and sharing your experiences of Shipnet and being, I suppose, wet behind the ears to the shipping industry. And thank you so much for listening to us talking ship.